So your chainsaw won't start. First thing to do would be use your T20, whatever it is you have on your saw. Take your top cover off the saw. Set that aside. Pull this off. Your cover. Now we're gonna look at the plug. If your saw won't start, use a scrunch. Let your plug loose. Look at the plug. And look in your cylinder with a light and see if you can see any scoring inside the cylinder. The first thing you want to check. But if that's good, you know the problem's not there. Put your plug back in if you want. Next step would be to take your air filter out, set it aside, take your 8mm impact, don't matter, something to take the screws off with. Alright, so we're going to pull this carb cover off. This is a Poland. Other saws might be different. Grab a pair of pliers. Pull this kill switch ground wire off. There's one more T20 you're going to need to take off. Set that aside. Pull your cover off. Your carb mounting plate, whatever you want to call it. And then slide the carb off. First we have to take the trigger assembly off. Hold your throttle. Pull it to the side if you get the Poland. The carb should slide right off. Put the linkage aside. Put the choke lever aside. And then disconnect a few lines. Just remember which way to go. Set the saw aside and then we'll dig into the carb. First we'll look at the pump side. Usually look at the diaphragm side first, but it takes a lot more to get it off. Just make sure there's nothing clogging your screen, so it don't look too bad. On your pump diaphragm, just make sure the flaps are here and here are flat. If they're bent down or this thing's distorted, you're going to have to replace it. This one looks alright. You just put that back on this way. Then we'll move to the diaphragm side. I'm going to take these two screws out. Put them aside. You have to take this off. This linkage is going to be connected to this. So just slide it out of either one. You really don't have to disconnect it if you don't want to. We'll take a look at the diaphragm. Take these 4 screws out. pull this cover off. And you want to see what this diaphragm looks like. If you can grab it with your fingernail. Sometimes they'll stick. The diaphragm's a little stiff. Go ahead, replace that. That's probably the problem. Usually these will get stiff and won't let enough fuel through the needle. And then your saw will run lean, won't have enough gas to run, and that's why. Usually the diaphragm, easy fix. Another thing you want to check is your meter and lever. See if it's at the right height. They have tools you can check it with. But this one looks alright. But this is demonstration purposes only, so I'm gonna put it back together. So if you determine the carb is fine, then your problem's somewhere else. Now we can connect this back on here. This way. Things can be tricky sometimes. Alright, there we go. Put the screws in, we put aside. Alright, so we determined the carb's good. Next step would be to put the carb back on and then check out the tank. You should do that first, but if you don't got the pressure testing tools, then it's kind of hard to determine. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on and I'll be back.